I really don't feel like making this video at all, but it's also right to talk to myself in the end and take a moment to see Imlif. Who knows, maybe some of you might be able to help me in some way, even though I think there isn't really a true solution in the end. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about that monster that eats you from the inside, about that terrible illness, because at the end of the day, an illness is an illness, whether it's mental or physical. That's what it is. I'm talking about overthinking, that terrible feeling that eats you from the inside, that people have who can never stop thinking, who always have to dwell on the past and think about things they could have done better or worse over time. That terrible, terrible thing that really doesn't let you sleep at night, that makes you think and rethink about how it would have been better to create or redo, or how you could have redone what happened in your past. That's called overthinking, when you never stop thinking about the things that went wrong. And you never stop thinking about how you could have done them differently or what you did wrong. And that new one eats you from the inside, really, like a void that consumes you. It starts from here. Maybe it also starts from here when it also involves a relationship. And it's truly a beastly thing. I assure you, it hurts a lot. A lot, because it demolishes you here, it demolishes you here, it demolishes you inside, and it hurts almost like a stab. Yes, I'm not saying it's the same thing, because it's absolutely not the same thing. But the sensation of pain is very, very similar. You feel actual physical pain, even if it's something that starts entirely from a mental process. Let's talk for a moment. What is it? The overthinker is a person who never stops thinking, who dwells on the past. And this can be and can come to be defined as a disease in certain senses. Certainly a mental illness, of course, not to the extent of being institutionalized, but it is a problem that can easily ruin your life. Somewhat like it might be doing with me and with many other people. An overthinker is a person who keeps thinking about the past or the future. In short, who cannot peacefully live in the present. They always have to rethink what happened in the past, like the death of a parent or relationships that went wrong, what the reasons are, what they could have done to prevent this from happening. And above all, what they must do for the future. They can never be calm, relaxed. They realize that sometimes things are not enough or do not suffice to ensure peace of mind. In the future, by doing so, they do not live peacefully in the present either. And I assure you that it is a really bad thing. Really, really bad. I don't know if there is a solution to this kind of thing. Certainly talking about it with someone, with a psychiatrist, maybe with a psychologist, could help. But I don't think there is a real solution unless it is you yourself, the overthinker, who manages to control these things through practice. If you look online a bit, it is often written that physical activity helps, talking to people and keeping busy helps. And I can assure you, I am literally working 24/7 during this period to avoid thinking. And when I'm not working, I go to the gym. And when I'm not going to the gym, I edit, which is still another job. So yes, going to the gym helps, but only partially. It's just a half hour, an hour of help, whatever activity you do. The moment you stop, especially if in the meantime you listen to sad songs, it's really, really bad. Here's something I've noticed that works. It's better how your day starts. If you manage to start your day with a positive mindset, you can stay a bit calmer for a longer time. But it's not a true and real solution to this problem. And the worst thing is when overthinking combines with relationships, for example. It happened to me recently that I tried to get to know various people, and one in particular won me over quite quickly without her actually doing anything at all. I simply liked her, something that hadn't happened to me in a long time. In fact, it had been more than a year since I entered a place, saw this person and thought, wow, she is truly beautiful. I want to get to know her. I want to know everything, etc., etc. And it happened. And unfortunately, we tried. In fact, I have to thank this person. If you're watching this video, thank you. Know that I absolutely don't hate you. On the contrary, I care about you for allowing me to unlock certain emotions that I hadn't felt in quite a while. I hadn't felt them more or less since my mom passed away last year. And this is another big problem for those who think indeed too much. And rediscovering those emotions a bit was wonderful, but it was also truly devastating. Because at a certain point, I literally found myself with a punch in the face of emotions that I couldn't control. Ranging from worry when that person didn't respond to falling in love even at a level, too fast, too impulsive. And honestly, I really struggled to control it, not to mention anxiety and indeed crises. Even the anxiety I experienced, which honestly was one of the first times it happened to me at this level in my life, because I am also quite an anxious person, but it had never happened to me so intensely in such a short time, especially. Obviously, it's pointless to say that probably because of me, I ruined everything by rushing too much, asking too much from a person who also has their own problems, like all of us, after all. So I messed everything up. However, unfortunately, being someone who overthinks, you often can't control it. And sometimes the only solution is to have someone by your side who understands this and realizes that even just a simple, hey, hi, is everything okay? Everything's fine. Once every 24 hours can help a person like me who thinks a lot, or like you, who is probably watching this video, to be more at ease. Because we can't manage to be less anxious. We can't just let things go easily. We unfortunately always need a bit more reassurance. Even if we already know that maybe that person is interested in us, is giving us an opportunity, is helping us a lot, we still need that little extra something to reassure us. Not because we don't have confidence in ourselves, but because unfortunately it's something that comes from within and eats away at us when it doesn't happen. I remember there was a time when I didn't hear from that person for 3 to 4 days without any logical reason. Then in reality, there were reasons, his reasons, but this thing literally killed me. It killed me. And clearly, being 300 kilometers away, living in Switzerland, and her being in Italy, in the long run, I already knew that this thing wouldn't yield anything positive. Unfortunately, it was also due to the fact that I unlocked many repressed emotions with the disappearance of my mom a year ago. And so it was simply all really too much all at once, and this didn't help. The fact is that now I find myself very discouraged in trying to meet new people. I always see walls in front of me that block me. I don't see a girl to talk to befriend, to get to know, maybe even on a level beyond friendship. But I find a wall that I see in a person who might be interested in me or might not be, but I will never find out, because the moment I see that wall, which might not even exist, I get overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed. I find myself thinking it's not worth it. It's not worth facing, feeling bad again and doing these kinds of things. Of course, well, if you guys could help the boys by being a bit clearer, because even if you approach us to talk, it's not such a terrible thing after all. A man really appreciates it, because we are always forced to make the first move. We are always forced to come up with things to get to know them. Sometimes it's even ridiculous. In fact, if I come to the gym and say to you, oh, wow, what exercise are you doing? How do you do it? Wow, you're amazing. It's just obviously an excuse to try to get to know you, maybe through the exercise. We do it with 150 kilo, you're doing it with 30. Yes, it's fun. I am a person who loves to flirt anyway, loves to meet people, loves that feeling almost of conquest in many quotes. That's exactly what it's called. The technical term, which actually isn't a conquest, is getting to know each other and finding excuses to get to know that person. But of course, sometimes you make it really, really difficult, and unnecessarily sometimes difficult. Of course, I understand that there are also many guys who don't know how to accept a no. There are many guys who, when they hear a no, make a scene. Some girls get upset. Some girls have become prima donnas. So being a man also means knowing how to accept a no, understanding when you are welcome and when you are not. Maybe a girl is simply being kind, but in that case, communication is key, at least between two people. Mature. So, between two mature people. Because remember that everything in relationships is done by two, whether it's getting to know each other, breaking up, etc., living together, etc., etc. In the end, the blame, I assure you, is always on both, even if one might have a smaller part. That being said, however, for an overthinker, everything is much more difficult, because we, at the moment when we come to present ourselves, we have already made up a movie in our head. A movie where actually one that goes well and one that goes badly. The one that goes well, we all know it, we present ourselves, Instagram, blah, blah, blah. There are overthinkers who have already seen the girl and say, damn, this is the one I'm going to marry, she's my wife, etc., etc. A bit too much, in short, a bit too much. But it can also be a positive thing, because it means that you are interested in that person, not just physically, but for the things you could potentially do with her. However, for an overthinker, the painful side of the coin also arrives. That is, and if things were to go wrong, then what happens? I feel bad again. I feel like crap again. I get rejected again. And you automatically freeze regardless. and you constantly feel this pressure, this horrible monster that starts from within, that keeps eating away all your possibilities, all your emotions, that fights, punches you with depression, making you feel bad from the inside. And it leads you indeed sometimes into depressions that are not at all trivial. It's not easy being an overthinker. It's not easy being a person either. In reality, it's not easy being in a relationship in 2024 either, because most people don't really want a relationship, except to spend time with some flings that satisfy them and so on and so forth. But I don't know if there really is a solution to all this or not. I only know that people like me who think a bit too much often find themselves in absurd difficulties. They truly feel bad even for a person with whom they met, saw each other 2 or 3 times, maybe shared a fleeting kiss, nothing more. And for many overthinkers, this is already a big deal. It's already a lot. Reaching that point without ruining everything is already a lot. And I repeat, it's not a matter of lacking self-confidence, because someone who is self-confident can still be the same. An overthinker, unfortunately. As a person who overthinks, I can't just not care about things. I can't do things just for the sake of it. I can't get to know 3 to 4 girls. At the same time, like most guys, the men out there do. And honestly, I envy them a lot, because if you don't have the chance to build anything with one girl, but there are 2 others who give you more or less the same vibes, they give you more or less the same opportunities, and so why not? Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is time. And wasting time like I do with one girl at a time, trying to get to know her, is an immense waste of potential and things I could be doing. I'm almost 29 years old. I've been in enough relationships to understand that maybe what I'm doing is wrong, focusing on just one person and hoping for something positive. But on the other hand, I don't feel too guilty, because in every relationship I've entered, I've always given my best. I've made mistakes, I repeat, any mistake, any wrong decision in a relationship, it always depends on 2 people. There's never an excuse. I mean, there's never just one person to blame. Even in a betrayal, there's never just one person to blame. Because I can guarantee you that a man who is satisfied with his woman would never cheat. Absolutely never. And vice versa, of course. This is not a sexist video. I'm speaking on a general topic. So what is the solution for an overthinker? What is the solution if you are with a person who overthinks, or if you are a person who overthinks? There isn't a true or definitive solution. Certainly occupying your time with what you enjoy doing is a temporary solution that works. But on the other hand, at the end of the day, you just need someone by your side who understands this, and you need to talk, you need to explain it to them, you need to make them understand that it's a serious matter, not nonsense you're making up. And having done that, you have to hope that the person is intelligent and mature enough to understand that it's enough. Literally a little message a day, literally 2 seconds. And whoever tells me they don't have time to send a message saying, hey, I'm fine, everything's okay, talk to you later. Fucking liar. I mean, it's literally 30 seconds. You can even prepare it beforehand and just hit send. Someone can simply disappear and expect that it doesn't hurt another person. Someone else might say, well, it's his problem, he disappeared, he lost out. But the overthinker will spend the next month wondering what they did wrong to make you leave. And will spend the next year questioning what they did wrong and what they could have done or not done in future relationships. And especially why they made you run away, why they scared you so much that you felt so worried. You had to leave and abandon them. So the overthinker won't be that person. They will never be the one who, after 2 weeks, finds themselves in another relationship. There are also those who manage, perhaps, to pretend enough to get involved with another person, maybe out of spite, or perhaps to punish the one who left them, in many quotes. But I assure you, it would just be a thing. Sexual, or something fake, just to make the one who hurt you feel bad, just as you feel bad. Why? The kid of that other person you replace them with in 2 weeks, you absolutely don't care about them, and you only use them, maybe to pass the time, to not think, which is even more selfish. Because you would go beyond just feeling bad yourself to also making the person who might genuinely be interested in you at that moment feel bad. At this point, the solution is to speak directly and find compatible people who can probably understand you, or at least make the effort. Then it's also up to you, the person who overthinks, to manage to control yourself. It takes time, it takes patience, you have to work on yourself, but everything is doable. I assure you that with time, everything is doable. There are moments of down, there are In the end, it's like an illness. It probably is an illness too, it's just that we haven't yet. Since there is no cure, very few talk about it and treat it as something major, and it gives you too many mental worries, too many mental hang-ups and such. It's not like that. I assure you that someone who truly overthinks is a very intelligent person, who understands their problem, who feels bad about it, and sometimes trying to solve their problem, is the very cause of the problem. Exactly, for the sake of absurdity. Knowing that you overthink and trying in every way to solve it, to block it, to pretend it's not like that. It's the very thing that makes you feel bad, as absurd as it may be. The fact remains that no one, apart from yourself, can manage to cure this thing. Here, no one apart. You can manage to improve this situation here. Of course, many can help you, but to do that, you need people. Correct, fair, and trustworthy towards you, whether they are friends, girlfriends, wives, etc., etc. And believe me, it's not that easy. Considering today's times where this world is very selfish and full of people who only think about themselves and their interests. Well, I talk to you about a problem that I also have, a monster that eats me from the inside, the one that is ruining all my relationships. This leads me to be 29 years old, almost single, and I can't trust people enough to commit again at this moment. I really tried, and it went badly. And right now I need someone to help me, but that person, unfortunately, it's just me, ironically. Having said that, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a bit different. It's a spoken video. I know I don't like them much, but the serious issue is something I felt like sharing with you. That said, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and activate the notification bell, because most of you rascals, unfortunately, are not subscribed to my channel. And it's a shame, because if you're watching me, it means that deep down you like the topics I talk about and the things I show you. So why not? Subscribe, and we'll see each other in the next video here from Switzerland. That's all.